This will be fun over here in Saskatchewan or Alberta or wherever you're from. We welcome everyone. Hello, nice to see some familiar faces. Always nice to see you, Patricia.
I see Charlotte joined us. Hey, girl.
Hey, Patricia. Good to see you.
Nice seeing you. And you got a haircut. Hola. I love it.
I did. Thank you.
Okay, well, welcome. I'm glad to see some conversation. I think this is going to be a really, really fun. Well, I know it's going to be. I don't think it is because we have Michelle. So what else could it be other than fun? It's going to be a great time. So we're going to get started so we can get right into it because I think we have so much to learn from Michelle. I talk to Michelle weekly and I learn something new from her every day. And every time I see her on screen, I'm like, how does this woman have so much energy all the time? Like, I'm over here trying to take a nap by 2 o'clock and she's smiling and jumping around and doing her thing. And it's a pleasure to always have Michelle here. And so welcome today to Zoomed Out, Zoom In. And so we're going to learn so much from Michelle and everything that she has to offer. But really quickly, I do want to let everyone know that we do have a prize for today's session. And it is from She Native. Super exciting. So make sure you stay in because that is an amazing prize to win right before the holidays if you're the lucky winner here. So stay tuned because it's going to be amazing. Everything from She Native is beautiful. And I'm very jealous that I don't get to be one of the ones that are entered in to win. But it is almost the end of 2020. So you are probably definitely zoomed out at this point, whether you're through Zoom, Teams, anything. Digital fatigue is a real thing. And we're all noticing that more and more. And it can be really difficult on the body and on the mind. And so with stress levels high in a pandemic and everything like that, there's these added stresses and challenges to our lives right now, both personally and professionally. And so this last Links to Learning is all to bring us down to earth and be together and talk about this and hear from Michelle on a little bit of tips from that. So this is to bring inspiration, tips on stress management and self-care to create a better virtual work experience. Because unfortunately, this might stay with some of us for a while. I know that my organization that I work with is planning on doing remote work now, even after the pandemic. So it's definitely something that's going to take adjusting. And I think that this webinar is going to really show us how to bring that out in everything we do. And I'm so excited to hear from Michelle. And so this session will end with an opportunity for you to reconnect with your mind, heart, spirit, and body, which is so important at all times. And so of course, we have Michelle. I'm sure you recognize her face. She's at every Links to Learning. But now we have the pleasure of hearing her be our speaker and not just the host for it. So that's so exciting. And so Michelle is a Cree woman with a passion for wellness, social justice, and community development. She's a member of Kwakatus First Nation. While her roots are in Saskatchewan, she has called Edmonton home for the last 20 years. She is the assistant director at the Edmonton Native Healing Center, and she is an entrepreneur with her own business called Esqueo Health, promoting health and wellness in various capacities, whether that be Zumba, meditation, boot camps, kickboxing, and wellness retreats. And she believes movement is medicine and connection is everything. And so I'm so excited to hear from Michelle. She's passionate, she's beautiful, she's amazing. Everything she does. So I welcome to this virtual stage my lovely colleague, Michelle.
Woohoo! Oh, that was such a great introduction, Aubrey. I'm so honored. I'm so honored to have had the opportunity to meet you this past summer. So welcome, everyone. Really glad and honored that you've decided to carve out a little chunk of your day to be here. I'm going to talk mostly about self-care and wellness and balance and offering some tips, but I really think it's important just to make connection for yourself. So at the end, I'm going to guide you through a little meditation, but I will talk about meditation before we go there, just in case it's something you've never practiced in your life before. So welcome. Let's all take a deep breath. I know I was just driving in the roads of Amiskwichi, Waskayagan here, and it's snowy. My car's kind of all over the place. So wherever you are, just find a moment of peace, a moment of calm, and that your breath is your helper. So we're going to talk about that in one moment. So I just want to remind you of some things today. I am sure that you know some of the things already that I'm sharing, whether you've heard them before, you've read about them, you practice them, incorporate them into your life. But just consider me your friend in your corner, fanning your flame, stoking your fire, reminding you who you are. Up to this point, like 2020 has been an interesting year to say the least, right? Up to this point in your entire life, you have survived. You've survived it all. The good, the bad, the ugly, the valleys, the lows, the mountaintops, those really good moments. Life is bittersweet, brings that bitter, brings the sweet, right? We've survived it. You've survived it all. So as we close out one year and we enter a new year, just remember that spirit of strength and resiliency and power and fire that you have is gonna carry you. I'm reading this book. What are you guys reading these days? Please, I have questions that I'll be asking throughout, so please use that chat box. What is a book that you are reading these days? I have actually several on the go. They say reading to the mind is like exercise to the body. So we know that exercise is really good for us. So reading, and I'm not just talking about sitting, I'm horrible. So here's a bad habit, confession time, horrible, bad habit. At night, when I'm laying in bed, I like scroll Twitter and just read and scroll and read and scroll. And that's not the type of reading I'm talking about. Like what book, and even virtual book are you reading? So this is one of mine, 21 Things You May Not Know About the Indian Act. Really good stuff. And as I read through all of these little points in that, every time I have to set my book down and I have to take a moment and honor the ancestors who've walked before us. I have to honor their resiliency, their courage, their strength to walk through, years of colonization, years of racism and discrimination, and all of that history we know that our people have walked through. So as I read that book, I'm constantly reminded of the strength of our ancestors, the creator strength. And we this day carry the same strength. So remind yourself that you have a heart of strength and resiliency and power and fire. And sometimes that flame just gets a little bit lower and lower. And maybe there's just like a little spark left. But every once in a while, Creator comes along and he fans and stokes that flame. So I hope I'm going to bring some knowledge, bring some story that will just inspire and bring that fire to surface again, because we're all tired. At the end of 2020, especially what we have walked through, we're all tired. But we remember who we are. We remember the strength. We remember the resiliency. And we call on that. So I'm going to share my screen because I got a couple of pictures here. I first want to say, give yourself permission to be in this moment. The world's busy as we're ending up our work, before the winter break. It's a hustle, hustle, hustle. So just in this moment, you're here for a reason. Give yourself permission just to take in all of the knowledge. Take what it is that you need. So give yourself permission just to not think about, I got to finish that and that and that, and the list that we tend to have. So give yourself permission just to be present and be here. So I was thinking about our environment and how important it is to have a good working, learning environment, but not even that, but in our home fires and where we live and where we do life out of. So I found this picture and I looked at this and I was like, there is a couple things right that I really like about this picture. So let's say this guy, just gonna grab this pen. So this guy started out in this chair. So you'll see my beautiful artistic abilities at work here. All right. So this guy started out in his chair. What I like about this is that he started out here, but then he landed over here. So that means he would have had to get up off of his chair and walk and get here. And I like that because I really believe movement is medicine. We were not meant to sit behind computers like 7-8 hours a day. We are meant to be moving. Our bodies were designed, they're dynamic, they're capable. So I really encourage, that's my first tip, is get moving. So for me, if I'm not facilitating and I'm watching, I will actually, I'm a pacer and I do lots of good learning, listening, reflecting when I'm a huge pacer. So I'll walk it out. Sometimes if I'm having a leg day and I'm on the Zoom, I'm going to push out my 60 squats, right? So I'm getting some movement throughout my Zoom experience. I highly recommend that. The other day I had a Zoom, just yesterday, I had a couple of Zoom presentations and meetings, and in between, because I started to feel that fatigue. So I actually went outside and just walked around, and it was 5 minutes. That's it. That's all you need. And it really woke me up. So get moving a little bit. I'm not asking you to do an hour class of aerobics, but 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just get off that chair every once in a while. Stimulate that blood flow. So that one thing that I like about this whole scenario. The other thing is I actually don't mind that he's laying down like this. What I do mind is that he's in this fetal position and he's gonna have a snooze right away. What I would recommend, because we're sitting up in our chairs, sometimes, in our couches, we find a comfortable place. But what happens is we get too comfortable. So I say, get comfortable, but not too comfortable. So I was hosting this one webinar. It was fascinating, had dynamic speakers. It was a really great topic. I invited a colleague to come check it out. And so when I met up with him at work on Monday, I was like, hey, what'd you think of the webinar? Was it not awesome? And he pauses and says, well, I fell asleep halfway through. And he's like, it's not because the content wasn't good. He's like, I just dozed off. So chances are he was in a really comfortable chair, because he was at home and I know him and I know his home. And also the temperature was probably really warm. And I don't know about you, but if I'm in a really warm place, I can start to feel the drowsy eyes, so check your temperature. So you don't want it too warm and you don't want it too cold, because if it's too cold, you're too busy thinking about how do I get warm and you're distracted. So I have a window just over here and I always prop it open. So I have just a little bit of that fresh air. So check your temperature and make sure you're comfortable, but not too comfortable. So he's laying down. What I would recommend at the end of, a Zoom call, Zoom meeting, webinar, like after today, maybe you'll feel inspired, but I recommend just laying down on the floor, putting a yoga mat or a towel down, because what happens is our back and our back muscles that support the spine are now active and they're working. And they need a bit of a break. So your body needs a rest. And so laying down just flat on the ground, sometimes we feel that tension in the lower back. So you can put your feet on the ground just to ease that tension, but just laying down, just giving your back and those muscles a bit of a break. I always like that. It feels really good. And you just find that connection to the ground and the earth. The other thing I like about this, so if you look at the desk here, it is pretty tidy like that. Stack of papers, I actually really admire it, because if you were to come to my office and I have stacks of papers, they don't look quite as neat as that. But I think it's important to have a clutter-free working space. I don't know about you, I get really overwhelmed when I have clutter all around me. And you also, it's also good to have like an inspiring workspace as well. So I have like bright pictures of flowers. I have inspirational quotes all around me in my workspace, but also in my home and also in my studio, right? And just creating an environment that inspires you. Really important. Then again, I just want to touch on the clutter piece again, right? So if our environment's cluttered, we feel cluttered up here and overwhelmed up here, and vice versa. If we're cluttered up here, if our thoughts are all over, chances are we'll manifest that out into our physical world, right? So if we can alleviate that a little bit, just managing that clutter. And our final thing in this picture is this cup. So I want to know if you have a cup, so use that chat box. If you have a cup or a glass nearby, answer. Oh, yes, we do. So this is mine. So what is in your cup? Oh, Aubrianne, let me see that again. Not bad, not bad. There's no judgment here. We're going to be happy and excited because this guy has water in his cup. When you feel lethargic, you start feeling the Zoom fatigue, the brain fog, I'm going to tell you, water is life. Water is medicine. Creator, that's one of the best gifts Creator had given to us. That's why we fight for it. That's why we protect it. It's life. It's medicine to us. So our brain, I would say, is the biggest asset that we have. Our brain, the cells in our brain require the most energy out of the rest of our body. So we need the most energy here. The quickest, most productive, most effective way to get that energy is water. Like mind blowing. So drink your water at least, and I feel like this is a really low number, but this is what they say, at least 8 cups a day. But I personally would double that, you know, especially if we're tired, especially if we're fatigued. Not only will it keep you on your toes because you have to go to the bathroom a lot, but it's good for you. It's energizing, it's fueling you. So drink your water. I always say that. That's kind of my thing. So the next one is breath. So we're going to take 4 full breaths here. If closing your eyes is comfortable, or maybe you're going to focus on one thing. And the reason why I say focus on one thing is we are easily distracted, right? Like I have all these flowers right here, all these pictures. So I'm easily distracted. So I'm going to focus on one thing. And I'm going to put my feet on the ground. I'm going to sit up nice and tall so my back is not up against the chair. And I'm going to take, hands are on the thighs. I'm going to take a deep breath in through my nose. Inhale until you can't take any more. And that's your cue to begin that exhale. And I'm Cree, and we like things done in 4. So you got 3 more breaths just like that. So pay attention. How do you feel? Pay attention to your body. Are you carrying any tension anywhere? And so on that exhale, just let it go. I carry tension in my shoulders. I clench my jaw like no one's business. So check your body. Do just a little scan. And just on those exhales, let that tension go. So Creator knew that we would be going through stress in our lives, right? Yes, we want to walk in peace and harmony, But life is life. We're human beings. So we're going to have those moments of stress. But Creator didn't just leave us to fend for ourselves. He actually gave us these internal gifts to be able to respond to stress. So we have our nervous system. And when you took that breath, I hope that you found this place of calm within your being. So we have two major nervous systems. When we take that breath, that actually automatically calms your nervous system. There's your physiological being actually responds. So it's saying, just relax, just relax. So breath, I believe, is your helper, and it will help you to relax. It's not going to get rid of all our problems that we're facing, but it will help us to find peace in here, right? Peace in our whole being. So your breath is your helper. Creator knew that we would need help along our journey. And so we have this amazing system. If we just stimulate it, if we just connect with it, we can alleviate some of that stress and that anxiety and all of those emotions that keep us wound up. So connect to your breath before anything, before responding or reacting. Sometimes we react in not so great ways. May I remind you just to breathe. Your breath is there. Creator knew. He's like, I'm going to give these amazing human beings this gift of breath. I mean, we breathe every day because we're alive, so automatically we know we're breathing, but there's something to be said when we press pause and just take that deep breath. And so I love this quote. So always connect with your body, always send your body love, and breath is one of those things. And water and breath. So I'm going to take a moment and share a story. So this season, I feel like there's a series of unfortunate events that have happened to me. So I'm going to use them to highlight some of what we're going to talk about today. And so I'm super, super excited about the winter solstice because that means a new season is coming. So since the fall equinox, the journey has been interesting. So back in October, and Elsie witnessed this. So hi, Elsie. But I had broken 2 toes. So somebody who works in the fitness industry, have my own studio, and actually I go to fitness for my own personal well-being. It's my medicine. It's the way I take care of myself. Having 2 broken toes is, it was a hard one. It was a hard one. So I took a day off to try to recover. And as I was kind of in denial, and I just got to say, denial is not a good coping mechanism. And then I resumed my life to what I did. So I did boot camp. I went to the gym. I was still active doing this. And my foot was like, I could hardly walk. Like I had a swagger going on. And this went on for a while. And so 4 weeks come along and I'm still in so much pain. And there's not much you can do with broken toes. So I surrendered. I was like, okay, I need to do something here. So I'm going to take rest. And for somebody, I work usually 6 days a week, if not 7. So taking 7 days off of like everything was a little challenging, but I was like, something has to give here. I had a friend who said, you know, when something happens and then people come up with their stories and their experiences. So she says, I had a broken toe once and it took me a year to recover. And in my mind, I'm like, panic. Like I was already stressed. But when she dropped that little story, panic, full on panic. I said, I can't do a year like this. I can't walk around in pain, right? So I was like, I have to do something. So I took a whole week off. I planted my butt on my couch. I watched Netflix like no one's business, ordered skip the dishes, and 10 pounds later, there I was. Monday comes around, back to my regular routine, get out of bed. And if I were to be honest, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, this isn't going to work. I'm going to have to go get one of those boots and walk around in those. Like, I was just dramatic. So gave myself that rest. Monday comes around, step out of my bed onto the floor, and there's no pain. It's like the heavens opened up and the angels were like, hallelujah. Like, it was amazing. And it was in that moment that I knew. So we all have knowledge, but we sometimes don't know it with our whole being. Like, we know a lot here, but then applying it, really knowing it, really believing in it. So I knew there was something to rest and sleep, right? That's my niche, wellness. So sleep and rest, so important. But in that moment, it clicked for me. It clicked big time. It was like, I needed to surrender. I needed to listen to what my body needed. And it needed just to rest. It needed to be off its foot so it could heal. And so it was a really big moment. So rest for us is really, really important. You know, sometimes we wait until it's too late, or we hit our wall, we hit rock bottom, and then we'll take that rest. But we really need to incorporate rest into our lives every single day. So even when we're on Zoom, and then we have that little break, I would absolutely encourage you to just stay off the phone, stay off the computer, just take that rest away from the screen. Like, so important. So there's rest that happens in various ways. So rest, you know, it's not this luxury item. It's not something that I think I should have some rest now. It actually is something that we should incorporate into our lives each and every single day. So rest and sleep, that is when our body repairs itself. It recovers, it restores. So much happens when we rest and when we have sleep. So I want to know, how much sleep at night do you get? Let's hear in the chat box. How much sleep did you get last night? Let's start there. How about? Because, you know, we always tend to put, well, I would love to do 8 hours of sleep, right? When in reality, you've done maybe 5 hours of sleep. So I'm going to check out to see 6 hours. Not bad. That's not bad. It's kind of a little on the low end, but ideally 7 to 8 hours is our ideal. 6, I know when I get 6 hours of sleep, I'm still a little bit tired and fatigued. So 6 is not bad. 6 to 7 hours, that's, you know, you're kind of moving towards that good. So sleep is really, really important. So I had this moment in my life. This was about 4 years ago. And I was going through something personal with my family. Heartbreak. Oh, it was just a really tough season, tough time. And I believe insomnia hit me. Like, you know, 4 o'clock in the morning came around and I was still wide awake. I couldn't shut down what was in my mind. I couldn't shut down what was in my heart and my whole being. And so I tried everything to really help me, or so I thought. I tried everything to help me. And I was desperate for sleep. I was desperate for rest. I'd say I was desperate for healing, just for what I was like working through with my family. So, you know, I really believe when we put it out to Creator, when we offer that prayer, when we put it out to the universe, an answer will come. So have faith. So an answer came to me in this way on social media. Facebook, there was this workshop on meditation. So I have to just say, I wasn't big into meditation at all. It wasn't my thing. It wasn't my cup of tea. I practiced yoga really well. Yoga and meditation really are like this, but for some reason I separated them, right? So I just did the asanas, the movements, and didn't really focus on the meditation part too much. So when I saw this workshop, there was something in it that I was like, I need to go there. Like, I don't know what it was, because meditation wasn't my thing. So it's kind of like maybe what drew you here today. There was something that was like, I would like to learn a little bit more. So it was like that. So I went to this workshop and she was giving all these benefits of meditation. And the one that got me, the piece of knowledge that got me was this. She's like, when a person meditates for 4 hours, that's like the equivalent of 8 hours of sleep. And it was like, boom, I was like, sign me up. Where do we do this? Because I was desperate. That was what I was desperate for in my life. So that started my journey of wanting to understand and research. And then I took the teacher training in meditation, and now I bring it to the studio and wherever I go, and I incorporate it into my life. So even during this whole pandemic, there has been moments where I started to have those restless, sleepless nights. But I turned into the meditation piece. And that is what's really, really helped me. So it's been a really good self-care practice, but also a good coping mechanism as well. So we are actually going to have an opportunity at the end to do a little meditation, only 5 minutes. If you were like me way back then and you're like, I'm going to peace out on this meditation portion, we're only going to do 5 minutes. And it's going to be really simple. So we'll have that opportunity to do that. And if you were to go read any articles or anything out there that people are talking about stress or living in this COVID-19 time and how do we deal, guaranteed you would read about meditation in there, right? Back in February this year, I went to an elder because I was looking for a ceremony. So I protocoled her and asked her. And she asked me back, well, tell me about your spiritual practices. Like, what do you do? And I said, well, I do smudge, but if I were to be honest, I don't smudge every day. I do go to ceremony, but it's not like consistently at the moment. But what I do is I meditate and I pray. That's definitely one thing that I do every day. And she nods her head and she's like, that's really good. Meditation that will not only help you in your ceremonial life, but it actually creates an opportunity. And I had never thought about this. It actually creates an opportunity for you to hear from Creator. Because we're busy. When we pray, we're throwing out requests left, right, center, and we don't give ourselves time or a chance to hear from Creator or Spirit. And I thought that was really beautiful, a beautiful understanding of what meditation is. So I had done this ceremony in the middle of summer, and honestly, meditation was what really helped me push through that fasting ceremony. So it was meditation. I'm a believer. So I'm going to just press pause on the screen share. Actually, I just want you to take a moment and look at this prayer. So I put this up here for a reason. So here's my unfortunate event number 4. I broke my toes and then I had a couple in between, and then this was the icing. No, this was the cherry on top. So this was maybe 6 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago. So I live in a condo downtown Edmonton. I live on the bottom floor. The top floor, they had water issues. And so of course it comes down to my condo. If there's anything, so I think we can identify some things in our lives that cause or that trigger that high stress. For me, it's home issues and car issues. And I got 2 of them happening in my world at this time. So home issue, I got this water damage that's happening in my laundry and storage room. And my stress is like all-time high. So the contractor comes in, he's putting the dryer in, he put in a big industrial dryer, and he's like, we're gonna set this out for 5 days and hopefully we don't have to tear down walls. And right then I was like, tear down. So I thought I was stressed then. As soon as he said that, up goes my stress and anxiety. Tear down walls, what the heck? So this dryer's going on. I can't sleep at night because it's so loud and it's hot. As it's sweat lodge hot in my place. So it's so hot. I can't sleep. And so I'm just everything's coming down in my world. It feels like. So I think a couple weeks go on and everything's out of my store. So I have bins and boxes everywhere because I have a small place. And I thought, okay, Michelle, tap into your self-care practices. And one of them is yoga. So I decided I'm going to do a virtual yoga class. So I roll my mat out in between all of these boxes and bins and all of this clutter, and I'm going to do yoga. But I couldn't do all the moves because I couldn't even bring my arms out because there was just boxes literally right here. So I couldn't even do this. And so I just surrendered and I just cried. And it was because I was like, I'm not going to cry. This water damage, this issue that's going on in my life is not going to get my tears, right? So I kind of had that tough persona going on, and I just surrendered, and I just like found myself, let the waterworks come and just really feel all that I was feeling and acknowledge. So I think it's important to acknowledge the things that we carry within us. So I acknowledged it. And I accepted it. This is where I am. I cannot change what's going on around me, but what I can change is my mindset. I can change my perspective. I can change the little things around my house so I can make it this sacred space again. So I had this moment to myself. I allowed myself to cry and to feel it all, but I didn't stay there. And sometimes we can stay there for a while. Or we can make some choices. So I had my moment the very next day after a couple of webinars. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take action. So I purged everything, got rid of furniture. I rearranged everything, and I just created my space again. I kind of reclaimed everything back. So changing your perspective. Sometimes when we just make that shift in our mindsets, or we check our thoughts and say, that thought is not working for me, so it's got to go. And we'll bring in another, I love affirmations. And I don't think we can think positive. We can't positively think our way out of things necessarily. And I'm not always about thinking positively, because we're meant to feel and think it all. But when we stay there, right, that's sometimes where we get ourselves into trouble. So I changed my perspective, and I really believe perspective is everything. Your mind is powerful, and everything starts here. Everything does. I think, therefore I am. So how's your self-dialogue? Just take a moment. And how's your self-dialogue, your talk these days? What's in your mind? And just acknowledge it. I always say we have these monkey minds. If you think of a monkey in a cage jumping from one side to the next, and that's kind of how our mind is. We live in this like incredibly busy world, full of distractions. So it's important to create that space for you to acknowledge what you're thinking, to let your thoughts be your teacher. Why am I thinking that way? And just to acknowledge. It's as simple as that. So your mind is powerful. Check your perspective and check it every day, right? Start with a strong mind. So one thing I learned, or I was taught, and I incorporated into my world, is when you wake up, don't go to that phone. Don't start to scroll, because that was a huge bad habit. It's like the first thing you should do, an elder said, is give thanks. Make that list of gratitude. And so having that kind of attitude of gratitude is a really good start to the day. It really sets the tone. So starting with that gratitude, there's always, even in the midst of the worst, there's always something to be thankful for. So earlier on the pandemic, so when everything here in Edmonton, so I don't know how it was where you live, but everything here in Edmonton was shut down, except for grocery stores and pharmacies. And where I worked, I still, like, never did we ever close our doors. So everybody seems to be working from home these days. I always went into work. And so we actually had to lay off a gentleman who did the janitorial duties. So then I had to pick up those duties. So there I was, like, scrubbing toilets and cleaning floors. And I'm not above that at all, but it was just different. And then just also thinking about my colleagues because their hours had to get, so there's a lot of stress, that extra stress that was going on. And I was tired and just wasn't feeling it. So I literally would roll out of bed, brush my teeth, wash my face, put some makeup on, I'm not gonna lie, lipstick, and then go to the office. So I didn't have this morning routine. I didn't give myself an opportunity to create an atmosphere for my day. And so I carried that kind of energy, the kind of energy where you just roll out of bed and just go with the flow. I carried that energy throughout my day. And that wasn't helpful for my own spirit either, and probably the people around. So check your habits and your morning routine. So I'm going to close with this, and then we're going to do a little bit of meditation. List one healthy habit that you do in your life right now. So you're going to use that chat box. Let's hear it. What's one healthy habit that you have? Oh, and I'm just looking at some of the answers. Tracy has 8.5 hours of sleep. Good for you. And Elsie, 7 hours. Love it. Healthy habits. What's one you do? So one is drink awesome and smudge. Amazing. Amazing. I really believe healthy habits lead to bigger results. So right now we're ending with the ladies. We did a 6-week fitness challenge, and we're done on Saturday. And all the ladies needed to come up with 3 goals that they wanted to achieve by this Saturday. All right. And they need to be specific, and they need to be SMART goals. So my goal, one of them, was to do 20 push-ups off of my toes, right? This was ambitious because remember, I was coming up broken toes. I wasn't doing anything. So that's my goal. In order to get to this goal, I had to create these habits to get me to here. So that meant I had to incorporate push-ups. I had to, so yoga for me is good upper body conditioning. I always lifted weights, but I was intentional about doing upper body weightlifting. So all these to get to here. I'll let you know how it goes on Saturday. But I think all of us, our overall goal, I think would be to be balanced, to be healthy, and to be well. So what are our healthy habits? What are we doing for us to get to this goal? And I don't mean to get to this goal, to live that goal, because it should be each and every day. Right? So what are we doing mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, all of these pieces? What are we doing in our lives to create this balance, to create the life that Creator wanted us to be? Not saying that we're going to have stress-free lives and not have any issues, but internally, we can walk in balance. The world could be crumbling around us, but we can still hold this balance and this peace and this calm within us. That we can do that. We might have our moments because we're human beings. We're laying in the middle of our living room floor crying on our yoga mat, and that's okay, right? As long as we don't live there. So what are some healthy habits? And so as we kind of are closing this workshop, think about one other habit that you want to incorporate into your worlds. Small habits lead to those big gains. And then habits turn into routines, then turn into your lifestyle, and just feels as natural as breathing. So one of my things was to get back into an early morning routine, because I do best when I give myself 2 hours in the morning just to listen to podcasts, to go work out, just to make myself breakfast and just relax. And so I'm not rushed. And so I've been doing that. And so now I was just telling the ladies before we started, I naturally get up. Like this morning, I was naturally awake at 4:30. So what you teach your body will respond. That means both good and bad. Right? When I eat a whole bag of chips because I feel emotional and I need that, it feels good in the moment, but afterwards, guaranteed, I don't feel good, right? So find those things that feel good for you, connect with them, incorporate them, right? So there's activities that we can bring in our life that will stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system. So that system that causes that rest and digest. So think also about maybe a hobby, a new hobby. My mom is so bored. So she lives by herself. She has a very weak immune system. So she stays at home. And I always say to her, she does not take my advice. One of these days she will. I feel like I'm planting seeds, but I'm like, Ma, get a hobby, right? There's something that happens when we use our hands, when we engage. Like I think of all of those beaters, and most of them say they do that because it's so therapeutic, right? So that's stimulating their nervous system. It's stimulating that calm response. So find a hobby as well. I was never a beater. I always say I'm a better buyer than beater, but I found myself beating. So I've been making these bracelets, and honestly, I get it. Like it's calming for me. One woman said, every bead is a prayer. And she's so right. And there I was last week in bead world for 45 minutes. That's unheard of, right? So try something new, get a hobby that will inspire you and that will bring in that calm. So we got a couple minutes left. So we're going to do a little bit of meditation. I'm going to play this song. So I encourage you just to get comfortable. So whether that's sitting up, maybe you're going to lay down, maybe you sit up against the wall, just find a place of comfort. I'm going to play this song for 1 minute. So remember your breath. You're going to take those full deep breaths. You're going to be in this moment. So whatever's going on all around you, work, family, you're just putting it off to the side for now. We'll come back to it if you need to, but you're going to be present. Taking a deep breath in and deep exhale. So wiggle the fingers and the toes, circle the wrists and the ankles and switching direction, turning the head to the side, scooping the chin down across the chest and looking to the other side, and do that one more time. And bring the head back to center. So that sound was, we would say, is pink noise. There's white noise, which is like a constant noise. So I have a fan at night that helps me to fall asleep. So that's my white noise that I need. But the pink noise, which is the water. So I talked about water is medicine, water is life. That actually calms, that's the sound of water, ocean, calms your nervous system. So again, one thing that you could utilize, you could tap into that would help you to come to this place of calm. Placing one hand over the belly, and one hand over the heart. And just closing the eyes if that is okay for you as we journey inward, or maybe you're going to look at one thing. And ask yourself this question: what does my heart say about me? I believe your heart is the purest part of who you are. It's where we hold love and kindness and compassion. So just take this moment to just connect with you, with the core of who you are. And then ask yourself what it is that you need. What do you need mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually? And take a deep breath in. And deep exhale out through the mouth. And one more breath just like that. I really believe that you hold all the answers within you. We just press pause, if we stop, if we listen, if we take care of the needs that we have, if we self-care every day, how that transpires to our work life, our home life. So taking care of you has got to be number one. So let's take a deep breath, maybe reach the hands up towards the ceiling, give a good stretch, and then let it go. So thank you everyone so much for just lending your time, pressing pause, coming to check out this webinar. Is there any questions or thoughts, or I'll turn it over to Aubrey and...
Yeah, let's open the floor up. We're gonna do the giveaway. Don't worry, we didn't forget about that part. But if you have any comments or questions for Michelle, we have time to take a couple. So definitely feel free to unmute yourself and ask her, or you can write in the chat too.
So I'm just answering one of the questions about the song. So it's I'm just gonna type in the name of the song, because I just take it from my iTunes and I don't know how to get the link. But what I also do, if whatever music platform you're on, I will type in, so last night I typed in sounds of water, and that actually pulled up a lot of like good songs that are relaxing and calming. Or sometimes I'll like Google, or I'll type in yoga calming music, and that will also give me a good list of songs that I bring into my yoga classes. Yeah, the internet's awesome. And I have a website, so it is, I'll just type it here for you. So I do have a Facebook page, which I am very active on my Facebook page, which is Esqueo Health. And then if you ever wanted to connect with me, you would just go on my webpage, and then there's a contact, and you'd fill that out and I will get it, and then I respond back to you. So in the new year, if you're like, ooh, I kind of like this meditation stuff, I will be doing like short meditation classes. I haven't got to that 4 hours, by the way. I haven't even got to that 1 hour. Goals for 2021. Awesome.
Well, I would like to see you when you get to that 4 hours, because I can barely get through 20 minutes at this point in my life. It's hard to clear your mind completely and not think about anything. I find my mind drifting in like 2 seconds. And so it's a powerful tool to know how to meditate. But it's also a skill. Like you have to learn it over time. And thank you so much, Michelle. This webinar was incredible. There were so many things that I don't, when I'm sitting at home and I'm going into different meetings all the time, I don't even think about that. I don't think about having a routine to start my day that's going to guide the rest of my day. I've honestly been rolling out of bed and doing that. And that's an amazing tool to know, because it's true. Everything you do carries into the next thing. It's a whole balance. And so being able to find that everywhere you go is so important. And I really appreciate that. And of course, that prayer, that meditation, everything it's just so incredible. I love learning from you all the time, Michelle, and I'm sure everyone here, as you can see in the comments, is very appreciative of your time. Is that we have time for one more question or comment if anyone has anything to say? That's okay. It's almost the holidays. It's okay to have nothing to say sometimes, but
I just had one question. I just wanted to hear your thoughts, Michelle, on the ball. Like I do have a ball that sometimes I switch out from from my chair, and I had to laugh when you showed the picture of the guy sleeping on the floor, because I actually have I'm in my office. I have a bed right behind me, so when I need to rest, I don't literally fall off my chair, but I have a place that I can go to, and it's actually, my partner's a really bad snorer, so that's why I have my emergency bed in here.
I I love it. Actually, that's one thing I mentioned in one of the other webinars. There was a time where I was doing a lot, like 6 hours straight of doing some facilitation. And on my break, I actually, you know, when we tell moms to nap when the kids nap, right? And I was super tired, so I would actually have a little power nap in between breaks. And so I highly recommend, nothing longer than 15 minutes though, because then otherwise then you get a little drowsy. But you know, if you're there, if you're really like feeling that burnout mode, I highly suggest and recommend naps with setting a timer. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. As always, you have amazing words of wisdom all the time. I know I'm leaving this and going into the holidays inspired. I will not get up to 4 hours during this break, but when I get back, I hope to get up to 30 minutes because of you. So we can only hope for that. But thank you so much, Michelle. Everything that you said, I'm sure it's hit the hearts of all of us. And that prize is actually going to be drawn after this webinar ends. And so if you are the winner, you will be receiving an email from the Can Do team to let you know if you won this She Native prize. So stay tuned for that as well. But thank you, Michelle. And to everyone else, please have a happy holiday. And I'm wishing you all the safety and happiness and everything that this season has to bring. And we will see you in the new year.
Yes, yay. Take care, ladies.